Welcome everybody to Built on Faith Homestead and our tiny house talk today.
Yes.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
That's hard to say. Today we're going to talk about how you can't do this yourself.
Right.
Yeah, not even close. Not even a little bit, right? And that's not to discourage you. That's just to make sure that you're going into this clear-headed as possible. If you're going to live this kind of lifestyle, anywhere close to it. Whether you do a tiny house or a camper or a big house or whatever. If you're going to do anything close to the lifestyle that we're trying to live.
Kids or no kids.
Kids or no kids. Yeah, you just cannot do it all by yourself, right?
No.
So, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, ask that you come along with us. One quick note. Can I say programming note? Does that sound professional?
I don't know.
I don't know. One quick note. I think we're going to move these to Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mondays are always a little crazy around our house. And then B, Tiny House Talk Tuesday just sounds cool.
It does.
It does. So we're going to go to Tiny House Talk Tuesday.
Kind of like Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. I prefer Fajita Fridays over Taco
that's
Tuesday.
good too.
Yeah, Fajita Fridays. But today we're going to talk about how you can't do these things yourself. So come along with us and we will talk about it some today. One of the things I would say is like when we were building this tiny house, Melissa, we had just had Bo, our little boy, and we were living with my mom and grandma at the time. And that turned into a giant blessing. Not just all the complications you had after your pregnancy, right, which was a big blessing to live with them, but also Melissa and Mom could work together as far as taking care of the kids and making dinners and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was still getting used to having another kid, and you know, it's an adjustment.
Yeah.
For those of you that have had kids, you know, and it takes some time, but we figured it out.
Figured it out, right?
Still figuring it out.
Yeah. So I would get home late almost every evening because I was working on. If I wasn't working on a tiny house, I was, doing things that has to do with my pastoral job, and so almost every evening I was getting home late. Most of the kids were already asleep by the time I got home. Melissa, Mom would make sure between the two of you, I'd have a plate of dinner ready just about. But we couldn't have done, so we could have done that, I guess, all by ourselves, but that would have been a lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have taken more time, right? So it was a giant blessing. Also, when you think about like Cannon this summer, like we know going into this, we're going to have help this summer with all the kids, between working in the garden and working the job that we do, and then everything else that we're trying to do, and taking care of the animals and all that. Like we're going to need some help this year when we can. Yeah, and our parents have always been good to help us through those times of year because they know that it's a busy time, right? And it's not like you can just be like, well, I'll get to that next week, right? When you're Cannon, it's like you got to do it within a day or two a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, of what you're doing. Another example I give you is those sourdough. Remember the sourdough breads and the sourdough starters that we like to do. So I messed up. The sourdough is kind of one of my responsibilities, right? And last week was really hot, and we were really, really busy, and we were trying to get a lot done. And Saturday, I think it was Saturday morning, I woke up, and I was in the kitchen, and I looked over at the sourdough starter, and I was like, boy, I don't remember the last time I fed that. And so I tried feeding it Saturday night, and I fed it yesterday, and it's not coming back. It's dead. Now, the good part about that is we have given sourdough starter to both your mom and my mom. And so they have got sourdough starter at their house off of our original one. Which means all I have to do is get a hold of one of our moms and say, hey, when you do your pour off, when you go to feed your sourdough starter, save that so that I can use it to have a starter again. And I don't have to wait 14 days to make bread or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Also, like butchering animals, right? So we've got some friends of ours that we can help them and they can help us butcher animals, and it's a comfortable work relationship, right? And all of that good stuff. And we feel very confident and comfortable working together. And obviously, right, like every time I butcher rabbits or they butcher their animals, we're probably not calling them every single time. But every once in a while, man, it's nice to have people like that you can call that kind of halfway know what they're doing. And even if they don't know what they're doing, they're at least willing to come help.
Yeah.
Right? having people around you that can help you and that is willing to help you and you can help them, you're going to have to do some of that. Don't think that you can go into... So I know like the whole deal, part of it is like being self-reliant and those kinds of things. But that only goes so far. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're really going to do this kind of stuff, you got to have a bit of a community around you that's willing to help you and you're willing to help them. Which kind of brings me to my next point. I wonder if, and this is going to be more of a discussion at this point, I guess, but I wonder if it wouldn't make sense to take some of your family and friends that are kind of like-minded, maybe, or anywhere close. What if, like, I don't know, somebody had, you know, milk cows or milk animals or whatever, and maybe you weren't able to have milk animals, but you were able to raise, I don't know, something else, right? Pigs or rabbits or chickens or something, and maybe you guys could kind of split the workload, so you're not having to raise all of those animals, but just one group raises this animals and the other group raises the others, and you guys can kind of all help each other out. Yeah. That would be an awesome thing to do, right? Yeah. Especially with the looming, if you will, food shortages and all of those things coming on. Boy, it sure would be good if you could build some sort of community, sense of community with your friends and family members. It doesn't have to be necessarily your neighbors right next to you, right? It may be people that live 15, 20, 30 minutes away. But if you can work together on things a little bit here and there anyway, boy, it sure would come in handy. Yeah. Yeah, it sure would. And I know, like, sometimes we need people, like, to watch our kids whenever we're working on stuff, right? So we got 3 little ones. The oldest one's 5. And so it's not like we can just, you know, send them down there, like, you know, hey, all of you go outside and play while we do this, right? Like, we can't do that, right? We just got to have extra help, for sure. And I know Dad come down and helped us wire this building, and that was a big blessing. So could I have done that myself? Sure. Did it go a lot smoother and a lot better? And the house hasn't burned down yet because Dad was helping? Yeah, for sure. For sure, right?
He's an electrician.
Yeah, Dad's an electrician by trade. He actually knew what he was doing. I was just licking my fingers before I touched it, right? Trying to learn how to work together is something that we've lost. Yeah. Those friends that we butcher animals with sometimes, and we don't just hang out with them to butcher animals, right? We hang out with them quite a bit other times, right? But, man, it's probably been a couple years ago now. We all got together to butcher deer, and our kids were all playing, and we were working animals up together, and it was a giant blessing to be able to do that, right? We didn't have all the equipment. They had the equipment that we didn't have a meat grinder at the time, and so he had a big, well, we did, but it was kind of a chintzy one. Yeah. And he had a bigger meat grinder, and man, we just all got in and got to work, and the kids got to play. I know the old timers, and my dad used to do it some, but the old timers, they used to get together, families would and friends, and they would do like a big hog killing, right? And they might butcher 4, 5, 6 hogs, whatever, at a time, and let everybody work together and let the kids play together that weren't big enough to work. And it was a good time, and they had that sense of community. Could you imagine how awesome that would be and empowering that would be if you could ever have that again? Right? That sense of community, that sense of working together, that sense of being able to help one another. What a blessing that would be, especially with like these food shortages coming on. Could you, I mean, think about it for just a little bit. If you've got your neighbors or your friends or your family, if you guys are all working together and you kind of know what everybody's got and what everybody's capable of and what everybody's doing, you can kind of spread the workload out and increase your yields, increase the amount of food you're bringing in, and then maybe those food shortages wouldn't be quite so hard on everybody. Yeah. What's some other things that we've had to have help on, for sure? So like our grandma, right? Our grandma Joanne, she's storing our stuff at our barn while we're going through it very slowly and methodically as we try to get everything moved into the tiny house, right? We're livable and all that good stuff, but to get all of our stuff in here that we need to. So like our point of being in the tiny house wasn't how do we make all of our stuff fit? It was this is what we're going to live in. What do we need to keep to make this work, right?
And we downsized before a couple times.
Yeah.
But we need to some more, and Grandma doesn't use the barn as much anymore, and so
we're able to keep our stuff in there. If it wasn't for that, we'd be paying a storage bill, right? That kind of thing. What a blessing that is, right?
Yeah.
And even talking about like where we live right now, right? On some family land, and just what a blessing that was that come out. And we couldn't have done that ourselves. If you think about that, right? If we didn't have no place to store our stuff right now, we'd be paying a storage bill, trying to figure that out. If we didn't have a place to put the tiny house right now, we would be scrambling trying to find some land and having to pay an outrageous amount right now for that land, to where now we can move a little bit slower because of some help from some family members.
Yeah.
Right? So don't think that you're just going to fly into this and be able to just handle it all by yourself. That's not going to work for you. No, not at all.
Even if you didn't have, some people may not have the family support.
Yeah.
I guess. Or whatever to do that. Or maybe you don't have kids too, and it's just you and your spouse or something. You'll have to have the help of your spouse. You have to work together on those things to get the things that you would like done.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up. So, and I meant to, and I got lost in our conversation a little bit. You cannot, and I know we said it in one of our other videos, this lifestyle is simple, right? And we like that part of it. But it's work also. And, there's no such thing as a lazy spouse in this type of living, right?
No.
You're always helping, and you're always working together. And obviously there are jobs that Melissa's better at than I am, and jobs that I'm better at than she is. But those jobs have to cross over quite a bit, because we have to help each other. Because, especially if the kids are sick or something like that, the stuff Melissa usually does, she maybe can't do because she's got to tend to the kids. And then that doesn't mean the other stuff stops. That means I have to do the other stuff and then help you. And then if I'm down for some reason or whatever, you got to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even all of that being said, it's still work, right? And you still have to work together. And it's a lot of work. But it's also simple work, and it's a blessing as well, if that makes any sense whatsoever, right? Because you're right. If it wasn't for Melissa, right, if we weren't married and I was trying, whatever. I guess you can make the argument well, you wouldn't have as much stuff, or you wouldn't have to have as much, food or whatever. But then you would be doing 100% of the jobs all yourself, right? And then that's not really a feasible or doable thing either. You really have to work together. You have to work hard.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to work hard. And you get uncomfortable and do things you're not used to doing. And all of those things. Yeah, that's absolutely true. So not only do you as spouses have to work together, husband and wife have to work together, right? You gotta get your kids involved. So along those same lines as a couple having to work together, not being able to be, it's all right, you get situated, there you go. Not being able to be lazy as a couple, right? So there's no you're just gonna go work and I'm gonna sit down and relax type mindset, right? You have to have mindset, and there is times where it's hey, you sit down and relax and I'll go finish this, right? But it's a mindset of helping one another. Along those same lines, getting your kids involved, right? Why do you think people had so many kids way back when? It wasn't just because there wasn't no TV, right?
Yeah, well, and when we first started this, we were getting some more kids, and at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, and sometimes, it is when they're little.
Yeah.
It seems and feels that way. It seems a lot harder, but when they get older, it'll be better in the long run. If you know what I mean.
Be able to help more.
They'll be able to be more independent, and then you'll wish they were little again. But anyway, it gets better as they get older. I can tell, even in Luella.
Yeah. So Luella's 5, and she's big enough now that the other day, Melissa went to a women's conference, and she was gone all day, and I was helping with the kids, and so I stayed home with the kids, right? And Luella went and fed the dog and fed the rabbits. And did all that she could do. That way, all I had to do.
By herself.
Yeah, all by herself. That way, all I had to do was water them. She couldn't reach the water. Is the reason why she couldn't water most of them.
Yeah.
in the mornings when she goes out with me, like, she has her jobs that she does when we go outside. Like, she feeds the rabbits. She can't reach the water, so I do that. But while I'm doing that, she feeds. Mm-hmm. She likes to help bring in firewood, and those, except for when she gets splinters. Then it's like World War III.
I make her wear gloves now.
Yeah, we have to. But she's big enough to help with those kinds of things. Leah, not quite, right? She's a year and a half, almost 2 years old.
She wants to, though.
She wants to help so bad. And we don't discourage her. We let her help with the things that she can. It's just really limited to the things that she can help.
But when she's like almost 2. If they're that little, you know, she likes to carry buckets. You know,
the egg basket. That's the big
one.
The
egg basket, not with eggs in it.
Yeah, she's too rough. She's
a little rough sometimes, and so she may break them. But
she's too rowdy to carry.
Yours may not, like Luella. It wasn't really.
No, she was gentle with them when she was little.
So it just kind of depends on the kid, I think, what jobs are good for them.
Yeah, it does.
So, and it teaches them, like, too, even if the weather is bad, you know, the animals still have to be fed. If you have dairy animals, they still have to be milked, you know, and it teaches them perseverance and just a good work ethic in general, so.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I remember we all had little colds. It wasn't too bad. Everyone was just snotty and tired and generally just didn't feel good. Yeah. And Luella, I wanted her to go with me to feed the rabbits there, and this was at our old house. And I told her, I said, part of the reason why I want you to go with me this morning is you need to understand that even though you're sick, you still got to take care of the animals, right? Yeah. They don't care. They still need food and water, right? Shelter.
Now, don't get us wrong. If she was too sick, we would.
Yeah, like, don't call us in.
Make her go out there.
Right. She wasn't even running a fever. She was just snotty and tired, and that's kind of the way we all were there for a little while. And but the reality of it is, and you guys know this as adults, especially you guys that have animals, you can get sick, right? But you still have to take care of them, and you still have things that you have to do. You may do the bare minimum, but you still have to do it. And, but even that, right, getting the kids to help has been a big help. So that when I do have to go feed animals by myself, if it's like raining real hard or storming or whatever, there like a few weeks ago, it just rained every day just about, and real muddy and nasty out, and I went by myself every time. I realized how much help I was actually getting from Luella for feeding those animals, right? Or even Leah carrying the egg basket, just one less thing I had to carry as I was doing that. And getting them involved, and we know kids need that kind of stuff. It's good for them. Yeah. To have those kinds of things. And
then when they get up bigger, you know, I'll be able to go out with them when Bo gets bigger and stuff, and we can be more involved as a family. Yeah. Which I think is a blessing. So. Absolutely.
But even now, like a lot of times, if me and the girls go out and feed animals, you're in here and cooking breakfast, right? Yeah. Still working together. Yeah. Absolutely. And so, please don't think you can go into this all by yourself. No. No. Now, if you're a single person, whatever, living by yourself, you can do a lot of things, right? Yeah. All right. But, and I don't want to discourage you, but I also don't want to discourage you if you have to ask for some help. Yeah. Right? Which sounds funny coming from my lips, I know. I may have a bit of an issue for asking for help. Maybe slightly an issue. Maybe it's a giant issue in my life that I'm still working on. The Lord's still working on me. Right? Like for asking for help. But the truth is, we do have to. We do have to ask for help. And I don't know what we would do if we didn't have the support and the help that we have. Yeah. I don't know what to do. So, guys.
Oh, and last night.
Oh, yeah, last night. To mention that. So, Leah wasn't feeling good last night, and she was just overly tired, we come to find out. But we wasn't sure what was going on.
She just kept crying and crying.
Yeah, and she's a mess. And we were trying to help her, and we tried giving her, we thought maybe she was hurting. Like, we didn't know if maybe she was getting another molar or something like that. And so we tried to give her some, like, children's Tylenol just to help, and she threw it up, because, you know, if you guys have ever give your kids that, it's thick and syrupy, and she was crying, right, and she gagged on it and threw it up and all that. But thankfully, my mom and grandma, we eat lunch with them every Sunday afternoon, and we spend the afternoon with them, and they were able to, Mom and
Bo was awake too. Yeah. At the same time. Yeah. And he was kind of fussy just because he was tired, you know. And Leah was still screaming and stuff, and there's no way I could have I could have been both places at once, you know. And
yeah. So
I'm thankful for the help yesterday.
Yeah.
His mom helped me with Bo or whatever I needed, you know.
Yeah. So Melissa and the kids stayed home from church, and Mom helped Melissa wrangle the kids and try to keep them peaceable and comfortable and all that good stuff. And just little stuff like that. Like, we were already there. We were already eating with them. Something came up, and Mom was like, nope, I can stay here and help Melissa with the kids, knowing that I had to go on down there and preach and those kinds of things. And Mom was able just to say, listen, I'll stay here and I'll help you out, right?
Yeah.
Those types of things go so far, and things you don't maybe even understand or realize, right?
Yeah.
They go so far to helping us out, and it's such a blessing.
Yeah.
When those times come up in our life, that we have people that support us, right?
Yeah.
And that help us and are willing to be there for us, and friends and family members that's willing to work hard, and church members that are willing to work hard. I know when we were building this tiny house, I had all sorts of church family. There is a church that we pastor especially. So there's a lot of people that work in constructions type trades, right, at our church. And man, everybody was offering, right? Anything you need, any help you need, please let us know. We'll be glad to come down and help you. Be glad to work, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what we would have done. But having people that's willing to do those kinds of things is such a blessing.
Yeah, and even at church, like, you know, Justin's the pastor, so he has to preach, and I can't get as much help from him, you know, at church.
So I'm never sitting in the pew with the wife and kids.
No.
And when I do, it's usually, I'm grumpy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not used to taking care of kids at church. It's hard, and it's hard when they're real little. And my mother-in-law helps me a lot during church, and Grandma, and if she can't come for some reason, there's other church ladies. The one particular that sits behind me that helps a lot, and I know there's many others that maybe they're fussy or something, and I've had to pass them along, you know, because you can't do it on your own.
Don't have enough arms to hold all three of them.
I don't have enough arms. Can you imagine that? No, they're such a blessing, my kiddos and the people at church that help me. So I wanted to thank you guys too.
Absolutely. And like I said, the family's land that we're living on, and people storing stuff for us and helping us and using their tractors and trucks and stuff to help us out, all that kind of stuff. Man, it is a blessing to be surrounded by people that's willing to help you, right? Some of them may think we're kind of touched in the head. maybe a little bit. And they're not wrong. We might be a little touched in the head. Well, me, anyway.
And this kind of been on my heart, but the Bible says to love your neighbor.
Yeah.
And part of that, you know, is helping them.
Absolutely.
And by neighbor, that could be your family. That could be your actual neighbor. That could be a complete stranger.
Yeah.
You know. So I just wanted to say that.
Absolutely, gotta help each other. That's all I got to say about that.
I'm pretty short sometimes.
Forrest Gump style. That's all I got to say about that. Guys, we do want to thank you guys for watching. We do want to encourage you to know that it's okay if you look at all this and you go, boy, I'm going to have to ask for some help. Like, that's okay. Nobody should be shaming you for that. Nobody should be picking on you for that.
I don't like asking for help.
No.
I don't.
No, I don't either. I'm not good at it. I wonder where our kids...
But there came to a point...
I wonder where our kids get it from.
There came to a point, though, where I guess God helped me to get over that. Especially after we had Bo.
Yeah.
Because I realized, like, I don't have enough arms. You know,
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't have a choice.
Yeah. No, that's no joke. That's no joke at all.
No.
Yeah. Thankful the Lord's helping us both at that. I still need a whole lot of work. But getting better slowly but surely. Oh, man. Guys, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate you guys. And speaking of help, if you could subscribe if you like these types of videos, if you like our channel at all, we ask that you subscribe, share our videos. They go a long way to helping us out.
Yes. If you don't know how to do that, if you're like on Facebook or something, just click on the video. It'll bring you to YouTube. And on Built on Faith Homestead, it'll say the word subscribe on the page, and just click on that.
Yeah, and it go a long ways to helping us out. And also check us out on Leaving Egypt on our Bible study page. Leaving Egypt on Rumble. That's got both our homestead and Bible study stuff on it. Just that simple act of hitting subscribe and maybe watching a few of our videos or whatever. Man, it goes a long ways to helping us out. And so, or sharing our videos.
Yeah.
Getting us shared out across the land, right? It goes a long ways to helping us out. And so we want to thank you guys that have done that and that have put in the work. And we want to thank anybody in the future that will do those things. Thanks in advance, right? But we will catch you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye.